Joe, could I impose on you to read the roll?
Sure. Rich Roberts, Ryan Allard, Joe Hammer here, Tom Deane.
Here.
David Drake.
Here.
Dave Edwards.
Here.
Tony Homicki, Jim Hughes, George Oikel, Joseph Ercolani,
Here.
Peter Lambruni, Paul Thompson.
All right, thank you. We have 5 regular members and 1 alternate. We'll seat the alternate. That makes 6 people here. Just by way of background, we need to have 5 for a quorum. We also need 5 to approve any action. If anybody else comes tonight, we'll seat them as well. There are 2 public hearings tonight. The way we work those is first the applicant comes up, identify themselves by name and address for the record, and talks about what it is that they would like to do. There'll be maybe some back and forth questions from the commission. Once we're done with that, we'll open it up to members of the public who may have comments or questions about the application. If you're in the public and you want to comment on the application, please come up to the microphone, give us your name and address for the record, and say what you want to say. Following the public comment, we'll call the applicant back up to talk about any new information, any open issues that remain. There may be additional questions from the commission. At that point, if we believe we have enough information to make a decision on the application, we'll close the public hearing, deliberate, and vote. If for any reason we think there's additional information we need, open items, information that we still need, questions that haven't been answered, we may vote to continue the hearing to our next meeting, which would be like June 4th, 7 o'clock here. Anybody in the public, particularly members of the public or other presenters, just please remember to give us your name and address for the record so that we have it for the minutes. First item, 3.1, public hearing 2183 24Z. Demas S. Oliveira seeking a special permit in accordance with Section 351B4, permitted accessory uses of the Wethersfield Zoning Regulations for the outside storage of a camper RV over 18 feet in length in the side yard at 95 Mapleside Drive. Come on up and just identify yourself and tell us what you want to do.
Good evening. My name is Demas S. Oliveira. I'm owner of the property 95 Mapleside Drive, Wethersfield. And I would like to make a statement and take from there. Is that okay with you guys?
Sure. Yep.
My wife and I, this beautiful lady right there, had a dream to buy a house and raise our 3 daughters, and we chose Wethersfield 24 years ago. This town has been a piece of heaven for us, raising 3 daughters, which 2 of our daughters volunteers as METs on Wethersfield Ambulance for years. We enjoy the quiet and friendly neighborhood. We like fixing our garden, enjoying all the wildlife surrounding our house, and taking long walks around the neighborhood after dinner time. And that has been for over the years. As a recent empty nesters during COVID, we decided that we wanted to spend some quality time together. And we always praised a couple that used to live in the 201 Dale Road. They moved out, they don't live there anymore. But they have like Class A RV, and we always joked that someday we have something similar. That's why we bought this couple RV, not as nice as they had it. We were unaware about any specific regulations regarding the storage of the RV as long as the RV was stored in our property. We didn't know. We ensured that the camper we purchased would not exceed the width of the side of the house, and we were planning on storing it. Additionally, we placed a foundation for the camper to ensure its security and safety as well, and the safety of the surrounding property. We additionally cover the camper when it's not in use as well for winter time, and add a white fence to reduce any potential eyesores. We've maintained and landscaping all around as well in order to ensure that the beautification of the home stays intact, which we take a lot of pride in our house. Tonight, we're asking for a special permit to be able to store our RV exceeding 18 feet, where it's currently being stored. It has been for over 3 years. Thank you for your consideration in our request and for your time this evening. We are happy to answer any questions to the best of our ability. Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Dave?
I'm having a little trouble reading your map. Do you have 2 driveways then?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have one driveway in front of
Yeah,
the
I'm seeing a
Mapleside.
map like that, just wanted to be...
Yeah, in the Dix Road, we have another driveway, have 2 driveways.
So looking at where you're located,
So if you look the west side, on the Dix Road,
no,
actually,
I get that basic knowledge, but why didn't you put the thing in the back? Instead of right on the Dix Road side? Why didn't you move it all the way to the back of your house?
oh,
Put it-
the
I mean,
back,
you put a lot of effort in the fence and the stone and everything, just,
yes, because in the back of my house, we have a 2-car garage.
Yeah.
In additional, on the side of the 2-car garage, there's a carport.
Carport, yeah.
Yeah, which I store my boat and the truck that carries the camper, and I have a 2-car garage for my car and my wife's car. So
Your little schematic you have in the front, does that show the carport or is that the garage?
That's the garage.
That's a garage. It's a
Carport
garage.
to the side of that extra...
It's on the side, yeah. They
So
like
you
take
don't
out
see that on the
the
plan,
whole
okay.
length, yeah.
Oh.
And during COVID time, we're like, okay, we always dream of ours, like enjoy the state parks, which is beautiful here in Connecticut. I don't know if you guys are into that, but it's beautiful, and we enjoy. We do like 6 to 8 trips every year, and yeah, we don't have a space in the back because the whole space in the back is taken by the 2-car garage and the carport, which is, I believe, it takes space for the boat and the truck as well. I have some dimensions here that I took previously, so I don't know if you guys want to see, like, you know.
Is that these?
Yeah, those, I believe. I don't have my glasses on here, but yeah. Yes, exactly, yeah. It's a 60 feet from Mapleside, and 14 feet from Dix Road. Is 6 feet from my house, is 13 feet away from my back driveway. So we are trying to, I'm not gonna lie, in the beginning, we want to buy a very small, and my wife dig, like got bigger and bigger. And you know, like, okay, it's your couple's RV, but it's just kind of, yeah, but it's not exceeding the size of the house.
What was the dimension of the RV too? Was that written down anywhere?
28?
Did it say 28 somewhere?
I don't know, maybe I'm making that up.
I didn't see it.
What's the length?
The length of the RV
Yeah.
is 29.
29.
29.
Okay.
What's the width and the height of the trailer?
The trailer is, I believe, is at 8 feet, but on the top, they have the air conditioner, which is take a lot of, like the little stuff that they have on top. You need to consider.
Counting that.
Yeah, counting that is 9 feet,
9 feet,
9 feet.
so it's 8 feet wide, 9 feet high.
9 feet, yes, 29, like that, yeah, 20, yeah, 9. I have to know this because when you drive into those narrow bridges, you need to know this stuff. Drive-throughs.
It's a question for Justin. Because it's a corner lot, where would he have to put it to comply if it were 18 feet?
Yeah, so corner lots get complicated, as you guys know. In order to be fully compliant, it would have to go in the back quarter. So the quarter of the lot that's furthest away from any of the streets, which would be, a little difficult in this case.
Again, why would it be difficult?
Sort of the way the lot is laid out in terms of, with the carport there, if it's going to go next to the carport, it'd have to go.
No, I understand,
on the-
but again, it's not the car, you're not using it all the time, you just gotta go around, park it to the side. I know it's a tough spot, but,
Does the carport have the ability to put the trailer on?
Oh, no, it's too low, and it's very uneven because the way my land is like towards it's kind of weird, but it's too small.
So corner lots have a different,
So corner lots have 2 front yards, essentially.
Exactly,
So
that's-
it's, yeah.
because I walked this property, and I was with his wife, and I'm looking at this, I'm saying, well, if he did go in the backyard, it looks like the front yard.
Right.
From Dix Road.
Right.
I'm like saying, someone's gonna complain about that.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why, per our definitions, if you have a corner lot, you sort of divide it into 4, and it's the corner that's furthest separated from both streets. That's the backyard.
Got it.
So
Okay.
it's limiting on a corner lot.
And in this case, it's elevated and it's in the back.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Because it kind of slopes up.
It does.
Yes, it is.
It slopes up.
Yeah, it'd be like the southwest corner of the yard.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but, just to clarify, basically, he's got 2 issues, right? The fence is no good. So, if the
Yes.
fence has gotta go away, this makes the whole situation way worse.
So the fence, it doesn't need to go, it just needs to be moved away
Well,
from the property line.
That makes a problem.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 feet into the right-of-way according to engineering, so.
Could he ask the town for a license to keep it there? I know other people have done that.
Potentially, yeah. It would be up to the town engineer to sort of determine if that would be feasible.
Okay.
You're talking about the fence?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, there've been other situations where people have put up a fence and it's like, oh crap, it's on town property. Rather than making them tear it down, sometimes the town says you can keep it up, but you have to sign this license agreement where you're acknowledging that it's on town property. You provide insurance and that sort of stuff. Sometimes it's a little more trouble than it's worth, depending on what it is that's there, but it's an option, and if we, as an alternative to tear it down.
I got you, yeah.
Does anybody else have anything they want to say before I ask if there's anybody in the public?
The only thing I can say that the reason that we put the fence in, it was just for my eyesore, to lay a nice white fence, which we wash every year, and we put nice plants all around. We put some lights inside, and in front of the house we put a nice brick and a very nice plants special plants. So they look good. You can see. I think you can see in the picture there. The idea is to look nice, not to. I didn't know that it's not permitted. I'm so sorry about that, but it was just to look good.
Yeah. No, I get that. Anybody else before we open it to? Yeah.
How much space you have, maybe it says from the carport to the Back lot, yeah.
To the
Or
back
side-
lot?
Yeah, I guess you call it the back lot.
I would say that I have to measure to be
Okay.
exact, but I'd say another 20 to 30 feet.
Okay, so I'm gonna say again, why can't you put it back there?
Because in that case, I have to remove all the trees that I have there.
Yeah,
And
okay.
then I have a tree, we have probably 12 trees in between maple and pine. And it's one of those things that we really enjoy at the house, to be able to have a cup of coffee and enjoy our wild. That's amazing how many wildlife we have there. It's beautiful. But we have to remove probably 10 trees. And which I removed 2 trees to put that RV in there. We had 2 trees, huge trees. Always when you have any kind of storm, I was concerned about that tree going on top of my bedroom at night. So we removed the tree, which is a good thing, but, we took out the 2 trees to make space, because he had if you look, previous years, there was a big two maple trees over there, so we took it down.
Okay.
But it would take like 10 to 12 trees. And it's gonna be very narrow because it's gonna be, the terrain is like very slope, and I don't have a lot of space to play with. And I will lose all my grass to put all the way back.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Is there anybody in the public that wants to comment on this application? Anyone who wants to say anything? Sure, come on up.
So my name is John Jinks. I live at 101 Mapleside Drive, right next door to Dean. And he takes very good care of his property. I've been there 20 years, and we've both been very good friends and neighbors. I think his camper's fine. I mean, it doesn't bother my view when I stop at the stop sign, go up and down the street, nothing. So, I don't know. I didn't understand why it was such a, kind of a big deal about this, when it really doesn't bother anybody. Everybody up and down the street we've talked to, nobody has any problems with any of this. If you go down to Edwards Street, you got a big camper right on the corner at the stop sign. It's not even hidden or anything, it's right there. Dean's is hidden. It looks kind of nice. He did it very well, and he does take very good care of his lawn and everything else. So I don't know. I had a tough time understanding why he even had to go through this. I understand the town has rules, but I see what's around my neighborhood. That's a lot worse stuff than what he happens to have going on. So that was my point of view of it. Didn't understand it, why it turned into such a big blow-up. And like I said, other people in our neighborhood are in much, we got guys that don't mow the lawn. He takes very good care of everything. I didn't understand why it was such a big deal or stink about it, truthfully. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is that there's a regulation about where you can put what kinds of boats and trailers and campers and so forth. And it's generally behind the house, and they're limited to 18 feet. And if you have more than that, you come and get a special permit. Unfortunately, almost all of the applications we get are based on somebody drives by, calls the town and complains, not because they're worse or better than anybody else's. It's just basically,
Somebody basically being nosy,
Well-
kind of like?
yeah, I mean, I think there are people who object to these and call the town on every one of them. that they see, and the zoning enforcement officer goes out and says, oh yeah, it's too big and it's in the wrong place, go get the permit. And that's, that's why we have what we have here. It's enforcement driven, and I guess, I'll say it now, I was gonna say it later. We have been discussing actively kind of either changing the regulations or moving it to the zoning board of appeals, or both, because, frankly, maybe our regulations are too strict, maybe there should be a different way of handling these, just so that, people like your neighbor don't have to come here and, pay for the letters and do all the mailings and put up the sign and
It's
come and
expensive, he was
say,
telling me that.
please, please, and so forth, so we are actively working on changing the regulations, and just sort of as a spoiler alert, one of the things that we have been doing is just basically approving them for 2 years, so that on the one hand, the town has time to decide whether it wants to change the regulations. At the same time, the property owner is no longer under threat of any kind of enforcement or anything. And it also provides, if the town is going to look at keeping these regulations, whether it's enforced by us or the zoning board of appeals or in some other way, gives people adequate time to think about what alternatives they can come up with, rather than being kind of under the gun to deal with it just because somebody has complained. So that's kind of where we are. I don't want to speak out of turn, but that's the way we've been handling these lately.
But there is quite a few people on our street that have boats. That's okay. I mean, I'm just asking, we all use the Wethersfield Cove. We pay extra for taxes for these boats to have.
Yeah, I mean,
is it a problem to put them in your yard? Is it a problem to have it in your front yard?
Yeah,
There's quite a few homes in our whole town that are that way, though.
right.
Their boats are right smack in their front yard. Some people have big monstrosities, and some people have little boats.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
mean,
that's against the law for Wethersfield, though?
well, the big ones and in the front yard, yeah. That's why we're struggling with this.
I just think there's an awful lot, that's why I was wondering. I mean, I don't have a monster boat, I have something very small, but I'm just curious. Are you supposed to constantly put these things in your backyard and into the front yard? I know it's a boat versus a camper, but that would be kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it would be exactly the same thing, 18 feet, kind of,
So under 18 feet would be hypothetically okay?
under 18 feet in the backyard is
Yeah.
okay,
Oh, all right. So if you got a smaller camper, you'd have been fine?
if it was in the backyard.
He's on the corner, we all know that, yeah.
Right.
Okay, I was just curious. That's
No,
That's a fair
no,
enough answer.
and that, that's kind of the way it is, and,
Okay.
up until recently, we didn't get a lot of these because, there weren't complaints and so
Yeah.
forth, so.
All right.
There were only complaints like when they were kind of glaring situations, not ones that,
Stand out.
everybody in the neighborhood was cool with.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like, 20 years of living there, everybody's real kosher and quiet, and within the last, couple of years, start hearing stuff like this. It's just, didn't make any sense to me. We live in a nice, quiet street, the smallest houses in Wethersfield. I don't know, and yet everybody around us got these monster homes. I just thought it was kind of odd that we got picked on, that's all. I didn't get picked on, but in general, that even Dean got picked on. That's all I asked, that's why I asked.
Okay, no, I
But
appreciate
your
it.
answer's fair.
Right, thank
All
you.
right, so that's kind of all I'd like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the public want to speak on this? All are welcome. All right, you want to come on back up then? Sure, come on back up. I just want to make sure anybody else has any questions or anything they want to talk to you about. Any other questions for the applicant? Anything else you wanted to say?
It's I just want to reiterate that is a dream for us. I'm 58 and my wife is 58. We're planning to retire in, several years, when it's 65 finally. And we're planning to enjoy life and, the state parks and all that. So that's something, that's our dream, right? It's not paid for yet. Making monthly payments, and that's our dream. And we take care very good and we love our neighbors, and I really love Wethersfield. I love to. We go to the light trees every year. I eat like so much corn in the corn festivals. I shouldn't.
That's good for you.
Yeah, it's good for you. So it's a lovely town, and it's just amazing. But that's okay. If you have to go to the process, we're gonna go to the process. Everything's gonna be okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, does somebody want to close the public hearing?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All right, moved by Tom, second by Dave to close the public hearing. Oh, wait, before we do that, there was one letter of correspondence from James and Jennifer Riley, 94 Midwell Road, saying that they support the special permit and have no objections whatsoever to the RV being there. So, motion's been made and second. There was one other?
But I just want to clarify one thing.
There's a Carol Christensen, 288 Dell Road. Camper is too large and should not be allowed on private property zoned as residential. It's too big, please enforce it. Okay,
Okay, I was going to ask, so moving it in front of the garage is still not right?
well, I mean, it wouldn't eliminate the need for a special permit.
Okay. It's just, more of it would be visible, though.
Right. Okay, so the motion was made and seconded to close the hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, does somebody want to make a motion?
I'll take a crack at it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I move to approve application number 2183-24-Z Demas S de Oliveira for a special use permit in accordance with section 351B4, permitted accessory uses of the Wethersfield Zoning Regulations for the outside storage of a camper RV over 18 feet in length and the side yard at 95 Mapleside Drive, subject to the following conditions. Number one, that the special use permit will be time limited for a period not to exceed 2 years. Number two, that in the event the applicant seeks to renew the special use permit, that the application fees and costs for such future application will be waived by the town. Number three, that that in no way does the issuance of the special use permit abrogate or alleviate the need for the applicant to address the issue of the fence that is cited, to address and move the fence that's cited in the zoning enforcement officer's charge, and that such fence be removed or that eliminated in accordance with the citation. at the earliest possible convenience of the applicant and the town collaborating together. And I'm amenable to any further additions to the list of conditions that any other member of the commission might wish to make.
I don't have a problem with that. I just kind of want to clarify that the 2 years is not just to come back in 2 years, do it again, but you got 2 years to really get it out, do something with it. To me, that's what we did with the last one 2 weeks ago. I mean, you come back in 2 years, but the idea is you got 2 years to find a solution, find a place to store it or something like that. I mean, this is 29 feet.
as
Well,
well
the town decides,
Right.
we don't want to deal with this
Well,
anymore.
maybe they will, maybe they won't.
Yeah, they
I
may
don't
make
know.
changes in 2 years.
What?
The regulations may change.
They may, but they not, but the point is, it's got
No,
2
I
years
agree
to put
with
the
you.
effort into, I mean, this is a 28-foot trail. We just did a job on the lady 2 weeks ago, and it was an 18-foot. And this is a lot more obtrusive in my mind, but, but again, I want to give them a break and do what we got to do, but.
Yeah, if I can kind of explain, my initial gut reaction when I read this was, sort of the reaction of the Queen of Hearts and Alice in Alice in Wonderland, off with their heads, so to speak. It violates the standard, but on the other hand, we do have the sections dealing with special use permit criteria in Article 8 of the zoning regulations that allow the commission to make or to issue special permits to deal with such situations that fall outside the parameters of the established norm. And in reviewing the special use permit criteria, particularly after recognizing the testimony that's come forth tonight, first in the one letter from a neighbor and the testimony of the other neighbor before us tonight, it would appear that this kind of situation is relatively common in this neighborhood, that it doesn't really alter the character of the neighborhood to have this there at this point in time. And I also am anticipating that the regulations regarding this are most likely to change, because I think I, along with many other members of the commission, are somewhat in a quandary of having the Planning Commission, Planning and Zoning Commission, spend so much time on these, from a policy perspective, not terrifically significant issues, but they do take up a considerable amount of time of the commission, particularly in more recent years. So those are sort of my reasons for proposing the granting of the permit in this case. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree with all of you, except with off with the heads, but I just have a little hard time with a cookie cutter regulation where it's almost like, in my mind, it's almost like you get to look at it case by case, like this on the corner lot just throws me, because I walked the property and I looked at it and I'm like saying, okay, and I totally knew the regulations, and I even told her how it's gonna go, but I just feel like it's difficult, and that's why I'm glad to hear Rich say that there's probably gonna be changes to this. I feel like there's gotta be on something like this.
To your motion, you said remove the fence.
Well, I said address the address the violations that are cited
Okay.
for in the complaint filed by the zoning enforcement
So that
officer.
could
That's
either
what I
be take the
meant.
fence down, move the fence, or get
Correct.
permission from the town to keep the fence there.
That's right. I mean, those
Yeah.
seem to be the general alternative is just to can't be allowed to stay as is without, some official action to address the issue.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear on that there will, there were more choices than just take it down.
That's right.
All right, before we forget, does somebody want to second the motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and I guess the only thing that I want to say is that, I think to Joe's point, the fact that this is a special permit use means that we look at it on a case-by-case basis and decide whether it's something that's appropriate in the neighborhood, whether it, does injustice to the zoning regulatory scheme and so forth. Otherwise, people would have to go get variances and they wouldn't be able to get variances, unless their back corner of their property was a swamp or a cliff. So it's designed to figure out a way to allow these things to be over 18 feet and somewhere other than the backmost corner of the property. It's just, I think we belabor these, and somebody else should be doing that.
Keep in mind that too, this is 28 feet. This is a big one. This is and we just 2 weeks ago, it was a little over 18, and I'm just,
No, I get that.
I think they need to make an effort to see if they could do something the next 2 years.
Well, that's one of the reasons why my
Absolutely, I
knee-jerk
understand,
reaction
100%.
was, kind of disapproval of this application. But upon, second thinking and reviewing the criteria and hearing the evidence and the like, and since this is not a forever permit, it seems reasonable and just to...
I know, we just did it. I agree with the concept. It's a good concept.
Yeah, I mean, and it also ties into the, special permit use. I mean, if it was on one of the lots on Broad Street that goes to the river, and they had 7.5 acres, a 28-foot camper would be that big, so.
As long as it's in the back.
Right, yeah.
It's in the back.
It's still more than 18 feet.
I
so.
understand.
All right.
But you wouldn't want that in your front lawn in Broad Street. That wouldn't happen.
You have to put like clapboard siding on it.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
All right, anybody else have anything they want to say about this? All right, if not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. All right, next item, public hearing 2184-24Z, Raising Cane's Restaurants LLC, seeking a special permit in accordance with Section 52F3, permitted principal uses, hospitality uses of the Wethersfield Zoning Regulations for a restaurant with drive-through window at 1298 Silas Deane Highway. Buy some bulbs. There's something up there.
Heat up the bulb.
Look good?
Yep.
Good evening. I'm Sarah Sharp. I'm a land use attorney with offices at 135 Broad Street in Milford. I'm here on behalf of Raising Cane's, seeking a special permit to establish a restaurant with drive-through at 1298 Silas Deane Highway. Silas Deane, as you can see on the map, is at the very southern end of Silas Deane, just near to Rocky Hill. It is in the Regional Commercial District, and restaurant with drive-through is a special permit use in the Regional Commercial District. This is the location of the former Denny's. It's been closed for a couple of years now. It's vacant. I drove by again today, and you see the parking lot is in disrepair. The building has seen better days, and we are here with a proposal to redevelop the entire site with a new building, new parking facilities, and new, very much improved landscaping that we'll walk you through in a little bit. This area is well suited to the use. At this area of Silas Deane, there are some nearby fast food restaurants, some other restaurant uses, and this was a former restaurant. Raising Cane's is an exciting brand. It's new to the Connecticut market. If you've heard about it, it's a fast food restaurant that specializes specifically in chicken fingers. They were founded in Baton Rouge, Louisiana in 1996. There's a fun story with the founder. He pitched this idea to his business class in college and got the lowest grade because his professor said that it would never work. And today we have about 800 locations, and we're in almost every state. So we're really excited to have them coming to the Connecticut market. If this use is approved, by the time it opens, we would expect that there will be 2 locations in Connecticut within 25 miles, so in Enfield and in Simsbury will be open by the time this would be expected to be constructed. A couple of housekeeping things. The notice of this public hearing was published in the Rare Reminder on May 9th and May 16th. We mailed our notices to the abutting property owners on May 9th as required and posted signage on May 10th. That was all provided to planning staff on May 13th. We received engineering comments this afternoon at 3 p.m. There were a lot of bullet points. I think that from our initial review, we can address most, if not all of them, and we want to provide you with a really thoughtful response and make sure that we cover everything in one go. So we will be asking to keep the public hearing open and be able to come back in the second meeting in June. That way we have enough time to submit and let the town engineer review and hopefully have all our ducks in a row by the end of June. And so with that, I want to introduce, I should mention, we were at Design Review Advisory Committee yesterday evening. We received a favorable referral from them, and we have our architect here tonight to walk you through the elevations. Our report from the town planner, Justin LaFountain, was very thorough and noted that we comply with the landscaping, lighting, and parking requirements, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. So tonight with me, I have Wayne Violet, our landscape architect, and he's going to walk you through the site design. Andrea Sue is our architect with ADA Architects, and then Jason Adams with Bowman is our traffic engineer to walk you through our traffic report and answer any questions. We also have Kelly Bonenberger, our civil engineer, and Michelle Robinson, a representative for the client, in case you have any operational questions or anything I can't answer. So we have a full team here today. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Wayne. Thank you.
Good evening, Commission members. My name is Wayne Violet, landscape architect for the project with Bowler. Address is 65 LaSalle Road in West Hartford. I'm going to walk you through a bit of an overview of the site plan, the site layout, as well as talking a little bit about stormwater and finish up with some landscaping. I'll keep it fairly high level, but we'll certainly answer questions as needed as we go through the process. What you see in front of you is the proposed site plan. I'll walk through site access first. Site access is located along Silas Deane, where it's located today. We have a two-way site access entry point with limited site exit from the property. So it is a right turn only exit for site access located along Silas Deane, but turning in or ingress into the site is from both directions. The restaurant is 3,385 square feet. We are locating outdoor seating on two sides of the building. We have 40 parking spaces shown on the plan in front of you. There are 2 ADA or accessible spaces included within the package. One of the things I wanted to mention in the engineering letter that we had just recently received, and there was discussion about potentially reducing parking count to potentially include some LID practices or stormwater management and reduce the impervious coverage even more than we're doing currently. That's something we're looking at. We're going to take a look at that and have that as part of our response before next meeting, but we did want to acknowledge that. Also located in the letter received from the engineering group is EV charging spaces, not currently shown on the plan, but we will be addressing that and responding to that for next meeting. There are 2 drive-through lanes as shown on the site plan with 2 order point locations. The drive lane width that's currently shown on the plan range from 10 to 11 feet. There was comment in the planning letter of potentially increasing that to 11 feet consistently to comply with town code. That is something that we've looked at and we're going to accommodate with the revised plans that will be addressed as part of the response to comments. So we have no issue with that comment. Drive-through queuing, we are currently able to accommodate 28 spaces within the drive-through lanes that you see on the screen right now. The trash enclosure is located essentially to the rear of the site, adjacent to the drive-through. It's represented in a white box, located again along the drive-through lanes. It's screened, and you'll see some of the details for that afterwards. And as far as pedestrian access, we are providing pedestrian access to the public sidewalk along Silas Deane, and that's at the front of the site. I'm going to transition over to a little bit of the stormwater overview. And as mentioned before, we did receive the engineering report with some comments relating to stormwater. Initial review is the comments are relatively minor in nature, and we have no issues with addressing those and providing those responses before next meeting. One thing we wanted to highlight as part of the stormwater is the reduction in pervious coverage from the existing conditions to what you see on the screen right now. Existing conditions is primarily a heavily paved site, pretty much up to the perimeter of the site parcel. There is a decent size width landscape island located at the rear of the site. But existing conditions, we're about 80% impervious coverage. As part of this proposed site plan that you see in front of you, we've been able to reduce that to approximately 72%, which is within code requirements. And if you're wondering where that is primarily located, we were able to reduce or increase the pervious areas primarily along the perimeter of the site, which is where a lot of that pervious coverage is coming from. As far as the stormwater system, it is a new stormwater system with new catch basins, new piping throughout the site. The existing conditions of the stormwater, there was 3 catch basins with some old piping there. We've increased that and more than doubled the amount of catch basins and inlets and piping throughout the site. We have located a hydrodynamic separator for reduction in flows. That's located in the southeast corner of the property that is catching all of our stormwater from the site. And I just wanted to point out our roof drainage for the building is also tied in to our stormwater system. A quick blurb about utilities. We have all new service lines feeding the building. That includes water, sewer, gas, and electric. It's not a reuse of any of the existing service lines. And then I'll finish with a little overview on the landscaping. What you see on the screen is a bit of a highlighted view of some of the elements that are included in the landscaping plan. One thing we try to approach with our design here is to make a robust plan that obviously meets Town of Wethersfield code, but also tries to utilize as much of a diverse planting scheme, native, as we possibly could on the site. So we've included canopy trees, shrubs, ground cover plantings, native, consistent with Town of Wethersfield approved or preferred planting lists. As was mentioned, we met with design review last night. We had a healthy discussion about the landscaping and all the species that are included in the plan, and we got favorable recommendation from that group. So in general, I'll just wrap up here with the site plan, the landscaping is in full compliance with code. Any of the comments that we've received to this point from planning and engineering, again, we're happy to address, and we'll be providing all that additional data before next meeting. So with that, I will be passing the microphone to our architect, Andrea.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Andrea Sue. I'm a representative for the architect of record. The address is 177-100 Detroit Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio. And I'm here to talk to you about the architecture of the building. Here on the screen, you have the main building. As you can see, we have different materials that we use. We've chosen a warm palette that is also welcoming. The materials and construction have been specifically chosen for the weather. This has been also discussed with the Architectural Review Board yesterday. We got, as it has been mentioned before, approval from them. On the top of the building, you can see screening. All the rooftop equipment is screened from public view. On the materials, going back again to the materials, there are two different bricks that have been chosen. One is like a rustic color. It represents like old buildings, and then on top of that, it's all the new, if you could see there, the darker brick, it's like the newer, like rebuilding color, so it's a mix of all those things together. On the screen now, you can see the floor plan. We have all ADA compliant spaces, kitchen, and all back of house is also ADA compliant, just to, in case we have an employee that needs it. We have two ADA compliant individual restrooms, or point of sale dining room, exterior seating too, and all the interior areas that are supporting our operations, storage. We have a walk-in cooler freezer, and a mechanical room where all the water softeners, heaters, and all that are located.
Can you tell us on that one, like, where the customers will be seated and where the cooking is going to happen and that sort of thing? It's sort of obscure.
Yeah. So this is the front of the building. This is Silas Deane Highway. Dining room here, parking on this side. The customers will come in and order in this area. This here is the drive-through pay window. These are all the fryers where the cooking happens, and we also have a griddle where we serve. So I don't think this was mentioned before. The menu is very focused. It's only 5 items: chicken fingers, fries, toast, lemonade, and coleslaw. There's nothing else that's been served. So those are the two main cooking areas that we have here. This is all storage. a wash area here, and this is the drive-through pay window here. This is the mechanical room here. And drive-through comes from the back and around the building and out.
Okay, so the seating for the customers is like 25 or 30?
We actually have about 50 seats on the inside and 24 on the outside.
Okay. The bulk of your customers are drive-through?
80% of our customers are drive-through, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think with Duncan, it's like 95, so.
Yeah. Okay, if there are no other questions, I'll hand the stand to the traffic engineer. Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, Jason Adams with Bowman Consulting. We were hired to review the traffic impacts of the project. We completed a traffic impact study that focused on the project site driveway along Silas Deane Highway, as well as the adjacent signalized intersections, Executive Square to the south, and Goffbrook Shops to the north. We collected traffic volume data during the Friday midday, Friday afternoon, and Saturday midday peak periods, which is consistent with industry standards and is expected to be the busiest times of the restaurant. We forecasted the vehicle trips associated with the project using Institute of Transportation Engineers data and distributed those vehicle trips onto the roadway network. We then completed a traffic analysis of future year 2026, at which time the project site would be expected to be built and operated in standard with Connecticut DOT guidelines for traffic analysis. We looked at operations both with and without the proposed project at each of those study area intersections, and the analysis shows that the project would not be expected to have any significant impact on operations at either of the signalized intersections, and that the site driveway would be expected to operate in an acceptable manner. We understand from town staff that there is questions and discussion to be had around the right turn out only access, which we designed in concert with Bowler. This project would need to go through an approval process with Connecticut DOT, should it receive local approval here. We understand that the town has raised concerns about prohibiting that left turn, and we're certainly willing to work with the town and Connecticut DOT ultimately being the final decision maker of access along this roadway. As has been mentioned, the site previously operated as a Denny's restaurant. We would expect that the project would generate more trips than the Denny's, but looking back at crash data in the area when the Denny's was in operations, we don't see that there were any noticeable safety concerns. In the 3-year period from 2017 to 2019, there was only one reported crash at the site driveway. So we feel comfortable with the way that the project has been laid out from a traffic analysis standpoint, and don't feel as though it would have any noticeable impacts.
Can you clarify, you want no left turn?
Correct.
The town wants a left turn?
The town has raised the consideration of adding a left turn.
All right,
From our perspective, just the way the site is laid out, the volumes on Silas Deane are fairly heavy. Right turns would be easier to make out of the project site. It would keep the vehicles coming out of the drive-through.
Right now, Denny's, you go either way.
Denny's operated full access, correct. Right.
Envision an issue go to the left, but okay.
Correct. And that's why we are open, having received the comment especially. What we were concerned with primarily was just keeping the progression of vehicles going along the site, not wanting to inhibit vehicles coming off of the site and therefore backing up into the drive-through
So you were
area.
just kind of protecting yourself, so you would prefer a left turn if it was all said and done?
We would certainly be willing to have a left turn,
I think they just want the cars to leave.
we're trying to be forward-thinking, knowing that we have to talk to Connecticut DOT as well.
Yeah, Joe?
Sure. Are you maintaining the same exact width of the curb cut as it is now? Or are you widening it?
I think it's essentially the same with, again, that'll all go through the Connecticut DOT review to make sure that it's up to the state standards here.
Is there room to have, for the outgoing traffic, is there room to have a separate left turn lane and a right turn lane so that you wouldn't have backup and have, three cars across potential? Or would that require a widening of the curb cut?
Yeah, the curb cut would need to be widened to accommodate that, but again, we'd be willing to, what we wanted to do was present a plan that we all felt comfortable with as a project team, knowing that the left turnout might be a concern
Right.
at the state level. Certainly, in our review of town comments and working to produce a response to those, and then looking forward to the state process, it's something we can certainly consider.
Can you just, I read the report, but just in simple terms, was the biggest peak on Saturday, I think?
Correct, of the project, yes.
So at peak hour Saturday, how many cars are exiting and how many cars are entering?
Total would be about 90 entering, 90 exiting.
Over 1 hour?
Over 1 hour, so 3 vehicles every 2 minutes, or 40 seconds a vehicle.
Okay.
And as has been stated, about 80% would go through the drive-through, so probably about a vehicle a minute going through the drive-through.
And in terms of where the 2 lanes in the drive-through come together, is that right after the point where each lane has ordered at their respective window?
Correct. There would be a progression of the vehicles so that they're staggered and getting into the correct order to receive the meal.
And is that something the company has done at other sites as well?
Yes, this is a fairly standard approach to managing the vehicle queue, which allows us to take 2 orders from different lanes and then process the vehicles efficiently at meal fulfillment.
And I've read a couple newspaper articles about the Enfield site, and I know that I don't know how long ago it opened, but it seemed like, they were maybe planning for a flurry of activity because it was unique to the state, and I guess do you have any sense in the restaurant's experience at other sites, how long it takes until the novelty wears off and things settle down traffic-wise?
But Raising Cane's does have a grand opening traffic management plan, so they will have experienced staff on site to help process what would be expected to be a bit more of a surge at the beginning. What we've seen is that as more sites come to market, and I think Attorney Sharp brought up that at this point we would expect to have 2 different sites within 20-25 miles. As more sites come to market, that initial surge shortens up. So Enfield coming to market first in Connecticut, and there's the number of other Raising Cane's being proposed, built, and opening in other areas of New England as well. So I think overall, as time passes, that amount of time where there might be considered a grand opening event would be reduced.
Okay, and I guess last thing, I'm familiar with the area, but hard from memory here. If you go, so the curb cut north, that's the medical building?
Correct.
And that one has a traffic signal?
There is a traffic signal,
And then
correct.
the one to the immediate south, that's
as
the
well.
Executive Square, that has one too?
Right, so there are traffic signals on either side of the site, which do introduce gaps in traffic fairly regularly as the Silas Deane movements are stopped at those traffic signals. So,
Do you need to go to the DOT district office regardless of whether you're changing the curb cut or not?
we do, because just the project in general, we will need to go through.
Okay, and would they get to the level of detail of deciding whether right turn only versus
Absolutely, yes.
dedicated
Yeah.
right lane and all that stuff?
Yeah, that process is typical, that they'll look at the town decision, wanting to be respectful of the town, but then at the end of the day, they're going to review it for what is best for the state.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Quick question, what's the percentage of customers who use drive-through against parking? That's just
About 80% of the customers are expected to use the drive-through.
And the other question I had for the site, where, if it snows, where do you stack the snow, or is it all going to be removed?
It doesn't snow anymore, we have to worry.
Do we
Did
have
you watch the mainstream news?
Would it just be in parking places?
just respond? It hasn't been fully designed yet. We can certainly provide a response before the next meeting, but the intention would be along the perimeter, and we can provide an exhibit.
There's a lot of pavement, so I was just saying, if it snows,
Right.
it's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
We can put it in that thoroughly empty parking lot behind it.
Just one more, if I could. The 28 cars of stacking, so does that begin where I see the 2 double white lines with the arrows at that point? Right.
Yeah, right around here.
And then where are you counting to get to the 28? Is it after the?
All the way up to the meal fulfillment, so
Okay.
as you come around here, you have the merge point for the 2 lines, and this is the first vehicle right here.
So if that were to go, how many vehicles over would it have to go until you start to have a issue with people accessing parking spaces, like 32 cars or something like that?
Probably even more. Again, this is 28, so, and we wouldn't expect, maybe during the grand opening, but they will have additional staff on site to process really everything quicker, because as has been mentioned, the streamlined menu makes it pretty easy for the restaurant to operate as quickly as it needs to operate. But vehicles could stack pretty far back here. You'd still have access to all of the parking at the front of the site.
And again, putting aside the opening flurry of activity, I'm assuming the company, having a lot of experience with this, they're comfortable with the
Very
28
comfortable, yes.
stacking. And I noticed that it said it's basically all made-to-order type food, so do you know what the typical wait time is from the time you place your order until the time the food is ready, out of curiosity?
It's typically about 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
Just a second. Some restaurants, I won't name their names, if they're behind schedule, they tell you to go to a parking place and wait for your food. Do you have that worked into this, or do you not plan to have that?
We don't plan to have that.
Thank you.
Rich?
Yeah,
They were talking about getting rid of 5 spaces. You have any anticipation where those would be? I know you guys are still playing with it.
Of which 5 spaces would be potentially removed, is that
Yeah.
the question? I don't think we've thought through that enough to know, but we'll be producing a response to that as well.
The reason I say, you probably know, we had a big MDC meeting last week on stormwater and this, and Wethersfield, for some reason, we're really behind on that. And we have to decrease every year. And if you look at the areas, we're just underneath Hartford, which is, I think there had to be a mistake, because I asked somebody in terms of paved area. So I don't know how we ever got to close to that. I mean, we were way more than West Hartford, way more than Newington, Rocky Hill, and we're just short of Hartford. So, I mean, the pressure's gonna be on for us to get more green stuff. I think that's why he mentioned it, because I think the state requires every year to go a little bigger, so, well, you know. Probably.
yeah, it's the MS4 stuff.
Yeah, but Wethersfield's way behind. That's the point where I was really, when I saw the numbers, we were really in kind of terrible shape compared to the other towns on it. But
That's because we're already developed.
For the number of seats, how many spaces do they need?
35.
35.
They got 40, so they want to take 5 away.
It's based on seats, not employees for the sit-down.
So it's a multifaceted calculation. It's based on the number of seats and the number of employees. So the 35 includes the table seats and the number of employees on the busiest shift.
The regs don't require spaces for the outdoor dining, is that correct?
No spaces for outdoor, but they do require, I think, an additional 2 or 3 for takeaway food. So that's incorporated as well.
Okay.
Okay,
Great,
thank you.
thank you.
Hello again, just a couple of other items. Commissioner, you asked about the average honeymoon period. It's 11 days on average. Obviously, when we had a brand-new market, it may have been a little bit longer, but average is 11 days. And the ideal stack for vehicle queuing is 24, so we have a little bit more than even our ideal, which is great. We always like to have more so we don't have conflict with the parking area. And I just wanted to highlight, the opening day honeymoon period. We, like Jason mentioned, we have a separate team that works with the local police department to make sure that we have a traffic plan in place. And if we need flaggers or off-duty officers to assist with that, they are paid by us. And we take that, very seriously. We want to be a good partner with the community. And something that's also interesting about Raising Cane's as compared to some other fast food restaurants, they do a lot of community outreach and involvement. And so this is sort of the first step to making that relationship. Also, during the busy times, like we've mentioned, the focused menu really helps with that. When they know it's going to be a peak period, they can start making chicken fingers because they know you're ordering chicken fingers. They just don't know how many. So it does help move it along. And then we're going to be responding to all of the comments, but the one item about coordination with the DOT, I think the alternative from the town engineer was to seek out egress easement from one of our neighbors. We did have outreach with both of our abutting neighbors to see if we could make that happen, but unfortunately those efforts were unsuccessful. They were not interested in giving us an easement there. I did want to just note for the record, we took a look at your POCD, and we feel that this conforms to some of the goals in the POCD, including revitalizing underutilized properties on Silas Deane Highway and improving the streetscape and adding street trees on the highway, because if you happen to drive by this location in the next, few weeks before we come back, you'll notice there are no street trees there. There's just some sad grass, and what we have is going to be, very nice. It's going to be inviting street trees, plantings, both closer to the street and around the patio. We'll have the seating out there with some nice shade umbrellas, so I think it really lends some sort of pedestrian-friendly features to that area that are kind of lacking now and hopefully continue. So with that, if you have any other questions, we have the full team here and we're happy to respond.
I just have one more. If I know you're going to discuss the 35, how many parking spaces with the town staff comments, but just wondering if for whatever reason you decide you like the number that you have now and you're more comfortable with it, is there a possibility of making, 5 of them some type of pervious surface so that we're addressing the town engineer's concern about the hardscape, but still maintaining your parking?
Right, we can certainly discuss that as well. That's a good idea. Thank you, I appreciate
At
it.
the center island there, could you make that just gravel and no curbing? Is that something that kind of like allows you?
I think there's
The parking?
asphalt, I guess, which,
Yeah.
I know that sometimes it can be a maintenance
Right.
issue, but it's something we can certainly discuss.
Tom?
Excuse me, a couple of questions. The percentage of the impervious area on the current site as it is, and then can you give me the proposed percentage of impervious area pursuant to the plans that you're presenting?
Right. So currently, there's 80% impervious on the site that is non-compliant with the existing zoning requirements. We are reducing it to 72% with this plan, and the allowable coverage in this zone is 75%. So we're below the maximum requirement, and we're reducing compared to the existing conditions.
I take it there are no issues regarding wetlands on the site?
There are no wetlands on the site.
And have you conducted any environmental studies relating to the site with respect to any hazardous chemicals or any dump sites or anything of that sort on the site?
One moment. We have someone who can answer that. We have conducted studies. Do you want to answer?
Yes, I can answer to that. We, as a part of our due diligence, have conducted environmental studies in the site and also in the existing building, and we have not found any environmental concerns.
Thank you.
Just the oil from all the Denny's breakfast.
Oh, that does remind me of one more question I've got. With regards to, since this is basically, deep fried food, do you have any plans for the the use of recycling of the cooking oil, the grease, and so forth, it's being produced as a consequence of the
I
product
think-
that you're selling?
I think we have an answer for you here. Andrea?
Thank you. Yes, we do have a company that comes, picks up the oil that's been used. So basically on the, let me see if I can go back to, there, okay. So these are the fryers, right? We have pumps that pump that used oil out into a tank that's stored here on the corral, and then a company comes and picks up that oil and takes it away and recycles it.
Okay, so it's recycled into what? Is it just biofuels or what?
I do not have a response for that, but we do know that they take care of that.
All right, assuming you may be back for a continuation of presentation, I'd appreciate some background or some further information regarding that topic.
Yes, sure. We can do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess a couple of comments that I would have is, I wouldn't shortchange yourself on queuing spaces. This area is very popular. There are a lot of office places, Wethersfield, Hartford, Rocky Hill, Glastonbury, where people converge at lunchtime, so there obviously is likely to be a larger, traffic volume there than there was for Denny's. And I think allowing for maybe more than anticipated queuing on a regular basis is something that you should consider. Other than that, I think the town engineer's comment about a two-way exit is probably good. I understand your kind of operational desire to get cars out of there, so that you can, keep the flow going, but there are a number of other right turn only exits on the Silas Deane, and they're observed in the breach, unless they're actually built in such a way that you have to jump the curb to be able to go backwards. I guess the other thought I had on the queuing is, as an example of kind of maybe underestimating how much there's going to be, the Starbucks about a block and a half north of here, within the last year or so, had to reconfigure their entire parking lot because the queuing out onto the Silas Deane was basically blocking traffic. So they had to change the orientation within their parking lot to accommodate more of them. They had moved the ordering stations back further, the menu boards back further, and so forth. So, I think you may have picked a really good location. I just want to make sure that you're prepared for it. I was talking to somebody the other day who talked about sitting in line for 45 minutes to get their chicken fingers up in Enfield, and that would be a mess here. I understand the honeymoon period and how that might work, but I think you want to do whatever you can to anticipate as much queuing as you can at the outset. I mean, right here in the middle of our poultry district with, Buffalo Wild Wings on one side and KFC on the other, you'll be the anchor of the poultry district, so.
Great, appreciate.
To pick up on that, I guess the lower right, I can't remember how many parking spaces there were facing south. Maybe there were 5 or 6 or 7, but if you do end up reducing parking spaces per the town engineer, can you do it, in a location that maybe adds to 32 cars on the queue instead of 28, or just, use that space effectively?
that is, we can certainly look at that. And just to elaborate on the right turnout, in part, that was also anticipating what DOT would require. So they're the ultimate say here, but if they're open to it, then that's a discussion that we're happy to have. The stacking, as I said, what we find amongst all of our locations is that 24 is ideal, so we do have a little bit more, but looking at the site and what space we have, we'll take a look at if we can provide a little bit more. I did have one question, because Justin, you mentioned that we don't park for the outdoor seating. We are parking for those seats currently. That's the requirement is 1 space per 3 table seats. So we were parking for the outdoor seats as if they were table seats.
So there is a new state statute within the past 2 years or so.
Oh, right, that you can't park, yeah.
We can't count for that.
Okay.
So it's fine that you are accounting for it. We don't have any issue with that, but in terms of our requirements, we can't require that.
Okay, well, that might give us a little bit more flexibility in our count, so we'll look at that as well. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and I guess just one last thing. It's unusual, and we apologize for the lateness of the engineering comments. I mean, usually at this point, you would have been getting the responses to the second round of plans, so, you know, we're sorry for the volume and the timing of the comments, but, you know, appreciate your patience and your willingness to work with them.
Yep, absolutely. It happens, and we're happy to do it, and we'll be back in June, and hopefully have all the answers, and everything will be tied up in a bow.
All right.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, did you say the second meeting in June?
The second meeting in June, that way we have time to make the changes, submit it, engineer can review it before we come back to you guys.
Okay. Is that the 18th?
Correct.
All right.
Okay. If there's no other questions, we will wrap it up.
All right.
Thank you.
It is a public hearing. I'll ask if there's anybody in the public who wants to comment on the application. The public is waving no. All right. So I don't think we need a motion. We'll just continue this public hearing to Tuesday, June 18th at 7 p.m. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too, take care. All right, next item, other business. I don't see any. After that, minutes of May 7th, 2024. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Motion by Dave Drake, second by Tom. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Staff reports.
So I don't have much for you tonight. I just want to let you know that we had our first POCD subcommittee meeting a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I think. Thought it went very well. A few of you guys were there. We had Rich, we had Tom.
Peter and Tony.
Right, Peter and Tony were also there. So that went very well. You know, it's a group of not only this commission, but sort of representatives from the other commissions as well. So that's going to be moving forward. We did receive some, you know, new logos and whatnot from them. We anticipate a website to go live specifically for the Plan of Conservation Development fairly soon. So we're moving forward with that. The rest, I think, I can address with the correspondence and whatnot when we get there.
Okay. Public comment? Any public comment? All right, correspondence, there were 2 items. One, Amy Monstream, 357 Garden Street, about the 718 Silas Deane, and commenting that she didn't think there was a chance for citizens to attend and speak out, but we did have a properly noticed public hearing. Whether people were aware of it or not, I don't know what to say. And the other one is correspondence from Michelle Lewis at 39 Westway regarding kind of a side entrance to the high school, and I assume that's what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, so I mentioned this in passing at a previous meeting. This is something that you, depending on where you live and what roads you drive in town in the mornings, you may know that the high school, there's Wintergreen Way, I think it's Wintergreen Way, off of Westway, and previously that had been used as an emergency access only. Within the past couple months, I believe, the school is testing out using it for staff entrance as well, because traffic on Wolcott Hill Road have been getting significantly backed up. So my understanding is that was a sort of a joint decision between the school board, the town manager, and the police department. So, you know, that came to my attention, and I brought to the attention of the town manager that because it was originally shown to this commission as an emergency access only, it would need to come back to this commission in order to be, you know, approved as a, you know, employee entrance or full entrance or whatever they choose to do. So we've been getting some correspondence from neighboring residents, and that's what you see here. Basically concerned that because, you know, previously it's been an emergency access, they didn't have traffic going down there, and now, of course, you know, they do. So that's what's going on there. You know, the town manager sort of made the call that for the next, you know, 2 or 3 weeks until the school year ends, it'll be the test period, and if the school board decides that they want to go forward with it permanently for the next school year, obviously it will need to come back before this commission to get that approval. That's sort of where that stands. You can see that the letter is inviting members of this group to view the property, you know, during that time to see the traffic issues and whatnot.
Is there a reason why Wolcott Hill's backing up? I mean, it's been there a long time, as I said, I'm just curious. And when we redid the high school, we added that extra lane.
Right.
So for the last 100 years, there's only been 2.
Yeah.
We've never had backups, and it just seems kind of odd to me we're having backups now.
You know, it's a good question. I don't know offhand. I don't know why it's going on, but I know there has been an active push for that, specifically with you've probably seen like the speed monitor signs and whatnot over by that area.
It seems odd to me. It's not like it's a new thing. It's been.
Yeah, no, I actually don't
The
know.
lane, we added the 3rd lane, which,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. But
I guess leaving earlier was not an option for the teachers?
Oh, yeah, no. I guess that could be an option.
Yeah. No, I frankly think it's a case of post-COVID busophobia, with more people driving their kids to school and dropping them off. I mean, it had been a big issue even before they rebuilt the high school. And I know that we had, well, you were on the building committee, I don't know if you were on this at the same time. You know, we had some seriously long conversations about changing the whole traffic flow.
it actually
and
used
who
to go
was-
all the way through, and now you
Yeah.
have to go through, yeah, this.
Yeah, who's going where and who's not going where and everything, and, you know, frankly, I think this may be kind of a partial solution to one of the issues, but if they're looking at changing that, I think, you know, they need to be prepared to discuss the whole thing globally,
And you
because...
spend a little money, yeah. It's
Well,
expensive.
yeah, I mean, and it was the kind of thing that the first plan that came to us was obviously going to fail. The revised plan was likely going to fail, and it did. So, you know, unfortunately, you know, it's like building the parking lot for the Saturday before Christmas. You know, we're dealing with the traffic for 15 or 20 minutes a day, but during those 15 or 20 minutes a day, you know, it's hellacious for everybody who lives in the neighborhood, so.
So the streets aren't zoned, right? So that's what I was hearing. I'm like, but the street's not zoned for this. And I was like,
Yeah, I mean, I think what she is trying to say there is the approval did not give permission for this access road to be used as a staff entrance. So I did.
So it wasn't going to invite people to have any reason to go down that street.
You know what the other problem was, you know, the parking lot where the new gym is, it goes into a road there, goes,
Yeah.
that's a private road, that's not owned by the town. That creates a little bit of a problem, because you can't touch any of that. Weird though, isn't that weird? That's a private road there.
Which one?
The one that you're parking lot of the pool. It's on the west side of soccer field, that road.
Eagle Drive.
And it goes left and right.
Yeah.
East and west, that's a private road, it's not town-owned. So you go up J Street, if you took a left, that's a private road. Can't touch it, can't go near it.
Really?
Seriously.
I thought it was like part of the school.
No, it's not. It's the weirdest thing you ever seen.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, so I mean, I think we need to look at this kind of big picture, just so that we're
Are they
not
gonna,
playing
are
whack-a-mole
they gonna,
with the problem.
I guess, do a study for the bus stacking and the cars? Because I remember at times, if the buses stack, it messes up people coming to the parking lot, so they take different routes, because they have to hit a bell, and they don't really care about the buses.
Does anybody take a bus anymore, kids? They're all empty. No, seriously, they don't take buses, but I thought everybody drives it now.
Hardly anybody does.
Hardly anybody.
I mean,
I just wondered.
yeah, I think maybe some of the, like, the middle school kids who live more than 2 miles away, take buses, but almost all the elementary schools and the vast bulk of the high school are driven. But I mean, even for the middle school, talk to the people who live on Fairmont, and they'll tell you what a,
Well, something's causing the backup, and I just trying to figure out what it is, whether it's people dropping off or whether it's the buses or...
Yeah, I noticed that with the speed limit signs that they put up, they also put, no U-turn signs, so I think parents were kind of dropping kids off on Walcott Hill and then trying to make some, fast maneuvers around to try to not pull into the school parking lot. So I think there were just some traffic issues in general, but the COVID point is a good one, that's probably accurate. Beyond that, I don't know, we'd have to get some more information
We
there.
brought it up, we brought up the idea of the backup from Corpus Christi, but the teachers always, I remember, go to the back side, they're not on the front side.
Yeah, but the big change we did make though, we did put busing around the back by the tennis courts.
right.
That wasn't there before the high school was renovated, so that did change the flow. Maybe it screwed things up though, because the bus was going around the tennis court, turning around and coming back, so that was a big change. That could screw things up.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that was designed to get the buses and the teachers in one place and the kids in another, so that,
Yeah.
it wasn't going to be all conflicting.
It also had to do with the shooting down, whatever it was that happened at the same time.
Right.
They were trying to get public on the front and the kids going in the back so they'd be separated. That got changed, so it's kind of...
And they used to also restrict it, only seniors could park in the parking lot, but that was when the population of the school was high.
Yeah. Well, I think, Justin, you do have a point, because although from September to June, I generally don't go up Walcott Hill Road that time of day, there've been a couple times when I have, just out of curiosity or because I need to come here. And you do see people going north on Walcott Hill Road and then bolting down one of the side streets, or coming south on Walcott Hill Road, and then, basically parking on a lawn until they can get into the traffic and going down, Cotwell or Somerset or one of those.
Okay.
All right. Anybody got anything else? All right. If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. All in favor?